So unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen the 24-hour sun in Antarctica filmed by the crew and the guests of the final experiment, including several flat earthers who witnessed and filmed the 24-hour Antarctic sun. Now, the conspiracy theorists, including some who have been offered to go and refused, are putting out more conspiracy videos. Today, we're going to tackle Eric Dubay's long list of derps in his debunk video of this. Now, keep in mind, Eric Dubay was one of the ones offered to go for free and declined. So he could have went and actually seen if this was true for his own self. But he declined in order to keep his grift going. Obviously, it's much easier to watch this after the fact and come up with some BS debunks from his couch than it is to actually do some real research. So let's get into his nonsense.
As footage continues releasing, and astute internet sleuths continue analyzing anomalies and inconsistencies, it's becoming increasingly clear that the so-called final experiment's 24-hour Antarctic sun was just another faked event recorded on a film set. Unbeknownst to most, for the past few years, portable, panoramic, 360-degree LED studio setups now exist and are being used for Hollywood productions like The Mandalorian.
So this is classic flat earth logic here, right? First, we have proof that studios exist. Okay. Amazon has movie studios. Impressive ones. Therefore, this is faked. The fact that the studios exist in the first place is enough doubt in a flat earther's mind to lead you to the conclusion that everything we see here must be faked. Well, if you haven't noticed, behind me is a 360-degree drone footage. Okay, this was not green screened. Proof that they flew the drones up and out from their location. Here you go. Check this out as well. This was a different day. They dual live streamed this. This was on Will Duffy's channel, The Final Experiment, and McToon's channel live at the same time, flying a drone out and back, proving there's no green screen behind them. So again, flat earthers not doing their research
Around during their 24-hour time-lapse video, and pay close attention to its shape. Notice how the sun changes from circular to being smushed down horizontally, back to perfectly circular, then smushed across vertically, and then back again. This is not how the sun usually looks or behaves in person, or in genuine footage of the phenomenon from the Arctic. Now, pay attention to the changes in length and direction of McToon's shadow as he paces around the base camp. In the space of walking only a matter of feet, his shadow somehow completely changes direction and triples in length.
Now, the sun warps in this video because it's a 360 camera. It's an Insta360. It's spinning around and stitching all these pictures together as it turns. It's taking pictures every so often. It's not a video. Okay. So yes, you're going to get distortion in things. That's just flat earthers not understanding how cameras work as usual. But the second part of his claim is absolutely my favorite. It's so bonkers because it proves without a shadow of a doubt that flat earthers, even the biggest names of the bunch, which, you know, Dubay, right, don't understand how shadows work. They don't understand perspective. They claim perspective in almost everything they talk about, right? But they don't understand how perspective works. It's hilarious. So let's watch this video, how easily the shadow turning is debunked by just walking outside on the grass. Okay, here we go. You're going to notice the same angular change of the shadow as he walks across the grass. He's just walking across the camera frame, and then the camera's panning to the left. So you're getting a different angle of the shadow compared to the camera. Now, as for the length changing issue, almost as stupid. This shadow here at the top of the screen, okay, McToon's shadow, is pointing right at the camera. Now, flat earthers, what's going to look longer? Let's see if we can show this on the camera here. Does this look longer to you? Or does this? Which way looks longer? Right? Does that make any sense to you? The shadow is pointing at the camera. And as he walks by, we're seeing the side of the shadow. Let's take a look. Watch the top here. It's getting longer and longer and longer, as is the one on the bottom. Isn't that weird? Longer, shorter. All right, so I created this here in Blender, just a simple little Blender demonstration, okay? Let's view it from the camera. As the camera follows him, check this out. Okay. Simple. Okay, so sorry for the formatting here, but I took this on my phone during a TikTok live, so it was up and down. You see this shadow here is going to my left. It's angled left. Put a stick there just to show it perspective. That shadow's appearing to go to my right. That one's appearing to go to my left. You can see it on the tree a little better here. All taken by the sun. Now I flip my camera here sideways to show it a little better, but don't get is that if you're standing in between them, it's going to appear to converge. So you're going to get diverging or converging shadows from one light source. A little easier to see here. So left shadow with the tree, right? Right shadow with the other stick here. So once again, flat earthers just proving they don't understand what perspective is. No, you have been completely debunked on your confusion over shadows.
Now let's watch as McToon and Austin Whitsitt respond to commenters asking them to show their breath in the Antarctic. As they blow hot air out their mouths in freezing temperatures, there should be a cloudy mist that forms in front of their faces.
All right, your breath. Big conspiracy on TikTok right now. Your breath. Should you see your breath out in this weather? It's cold, right? Most flat earthers, I mean, they're not smart enough to understand perspective, but let's talk about condensation, right? So the warm air in your lungs hitting the colder, dry air is not going to condensate the same way as hitting cold, moist air. This is just science. This is how science works. So again, them denying this is just science denial, right? But you can see their breath. It's just faint. It's not a lot of it to fill. So there's conspiracies going around that Austin Whitsitt was hitting his vape and then blowing his vape into the camera to pretend like it was his breath. It's exhausting, right? So let's take a look at some examples of breath. Check this guy out. He's laughing, having the time of his life looking at this phonograph. Where's the smoke coming out of his mouth? Where is it? Where is it? Not there. Wonder why. Check these guys out. They're breathing, right? I imagine they're breathing. No smoke. No condensation. Okay, here's one of Will. He emailed me this. From the right angle with the right lighting, you see his breath.
It's digital fakery. In the 24-hour time-lapse sun footage, the mountains and sky are both chroma keyed out, showing they are both part of the studio backdrop. Compare this to other footage taken at Union Glacier. When chroma key is applied, only the sky disappears, leaving the real mountains untouched. This makes the case that the final experiment is potentially a mixture of doctored studio footage to fake the 24-hour sun and other authentic footage actually taken from Union Glacier, Antarctica.
Now, there's a reason this happens in his 360 video, which you can watch behind me as it spins around. I've taken a screenshot of it here. The mountains in some sections of the video are very blue looking. They're almost like they're matching the sky color. So depending on the strength of the chroma key you use, as I'm turning it on here on the right, it will start to take away some of the mountain, or if you make it a little bit stronger, all of the mountain. Wow. So you're telling me you guys don't understand how chroma key works now. That's not surprising. Now, the same thing is happening here in this other clip of McToon, all right? Because the mountains are a similar shade. They're so far away, they're a similar shade of sky. But watch what happens when he walks around to mountains that are closer, that are not that color.
Anytime close-up footage of their feet was shown, their footprints always failed to make any impression in the snow.
Okay, so there's a moment in time here in the 360 video that you can go play around with on Keegan's webpage on YouTube. Someone walks into the frame here. You look at the snow here. They walk into the frame, they play around with this bag, they do whatever, and then they leave, okay? What do you think happened to the snow underneath? Before, after, before, after. Clearly, it's changing. Clearly, there's footprints, okay? Because he's messing around, he's digging his heels in, he's playing with the bag. Now, if you're just gently walking around, you might not see footprints, especially on tightly packed frozen snow. All right, so I found some video of this guy training this other guy on a snowboard, and you can see the rake lines here, similar to how they were in Antarctica. Okay, going to watch him as he backs up. Watch under his feet. Okay, I'll just let the video play. You notice any footprints? Let's watch it again. Weird.
Antarctica. The founder of this final experiment, Pastor Will Duffy, has also had a recent clip surface from a sermon of his that gives some real insight into the mind of the man behind this production.
Okay. We finally get to my conclusion on the matter of lying and deception, and that is this. After carefully looking at both sides of the debate, and after taking a very deep dive into everything I could possibly find in Scripture regarding lying and deception, I have come to the conclusion that neither lying nor deception are inherently immoral. And that is this. After carefully looking at both sides of the debate, and after taking a very deep dive into everything I could possibly find in Scripture regarding lying and deception, I have come to the conclusion that neither lying nor deception are inherently immoral.
So here's what flat earthers left out of their cherry picking his sermon here. Let's see what he was actually talking about in context.
If that wasn't clear, sometimes a lie or deceit are not only necessary, but they are the right thing to do.
Why would he say that? Because that sounds a lot different than just he thinks it's not morally wrong to lie, which is what flat earthers were trying to say. So they cut it off right before he gives his point, makes his entire point. Let's hear his example. You'll understand.
Start with the why, right? We have the word kill and we have the word murder. Kill and murder. Kill is a word we can use to talk about when someone's life is ended and it's justified. Murder is the word we used when someone is killed and it's unjustified. It's the mere fact that we do not have a specific word to describe the justified use of a lie that this debate was not settled thousands of years ago. It's that simple. Certainly, uttering a falsehood is justified in order to save a life. Right? How could one argue that lying to someone who's trying to harm another should never be done, but killing someone who is trying to harm another is justified? Just this past week in Memphis, I'm sure you heard the story, a man with a gun showed up at a Jewish school. No one knew who the man was. No one knew what he was going to do. But I think it's safe to assume that if a man shows up at a school with a gun, that he was going to kill the Jewish children inside the school. Safe assumption, right? The cops ended up shooting him after he left because he was not able to gain entry into the school. This is important. No one bats an eye when the police shoot a man holding a gun who showed up to a Jewish school, yet we are told time and again that it would have been wrong to lie to the Nazis if they showed up at your house and asked you if you were hiding Jews in the attic. Seriously.
All right, so you get the point. He wasn't saying lying is a good thing, lying is not immoral, and everyone should just lie. He's saying there's situations in which lying is justified. So you can't just claim 100% of the time lying is immoral. If you could lie to someone to save their life or lie to someone to save other people's lives, how is that immoral? Context was left out of the flat earthers trying to slander Will Duffy. But this is what they do. They have no actual ability to come to a conclusion that's not misinformation, lying, straight up lying, or just anti-science, pseudoscience, propaganda.